Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome back to the channel where we talk about economics and crypto and lots of other fun things. Do me a favor, hit that like button and subscribe button. Leave a comment in the comment section, all for the algorithm. But without further ado, let's go ahead and dive on into this. How about some hopium from the most ridiculous bull that I have found on X, Mr. Crypto? Okay, so what do we have? We can see that gold broke out significantly over the last year and a half, something like that. And a triangle, ooh, beautiful triangle. Oh, and look, Bitcoin, same triangle. So Bitcoin is going to break out and absolutely explode. And if you can't see the top of Mr. Crypto's chart here, we can see $1.5 million potentially for Bitcoin over the next couple of years. One can hope. Now, I will say I am absolutely convinced that diminishing returns will one day stop diminishing and Bitcoin will break out significantly to the upside. Will it look like this? I'm not on board entirely with that. I think that we still have a lot of different variables in place, but would I welcome something like this? Sure. Hey, why not? Especially because of things that I'm also about to show you in this video. Now, I did make a short already talking about this. You can see that on YouTube here, but this is something to very much keep on your radar. Now, it says Mr. Crypto here, but this is really from Axel Adler, and he just stole his chart and didn't give him any credit. But Mr. Crypto, Axel Adler, Mr. Crypto about Axel Adler's chat says OTC desks are drying up extremely quickly. OTC balances have dropped from 230,000 to 115,000 since January 2024. A supply crunch is coming. We just don't know when. I actually do agree with that. You know, OTC desks are drying up quickly. A supply crunch may be coming. So here's the deal with OTC desks. This is mostly from miners, but places that, here's what people do. If you had $1 billion and you wanted to buy Bitcoin, if you tried to buy it on Coinbase, that would send the price of Bitcoin in an instant spike up to 10%, maybe more than that, higher than where it is right now. And then you'd lose a lot of money because the selling pressure would just push it right back down. And so instead, what people do when they buy OTC is that they'll buy in a way that does not have a direct impact on the price of Bitcoin. And that has been an option for quite a while. And you can see at the end of 2021, we were at 486,000, and we've just been straight down ever since then. So what happens when OTC goes to zero, goes close to zero? Well, you know, we still have supply on exchanges. It's a little over 2 million last I checked. But then I think that what's going to happen after that is that supply is going to decrease pretty aggressively. And then what? Because we are in a new phase with Bitcoin where there are heavy buyers of Bitcoin right now. And I don't see any sign of that slowing down. If you remember from yesterday's video, I mentioned in that video that, that the amount of Bitcoin that the ETFs buy going into 2026 and 2027 is actually probably going to be higher than what we've seen so far. So my goodness, or at least the amount of dollars that they put into that Bitcoin. Are they going to be able to buy as much Bitcoin as they've already bought? So, man, you know, I mean, things can get pretty rough here looking at the bond market. But at some point, I think shortly after the dip, whatever you want to call it, the crisis that we're facing, Bitcoin's going to explode. So this is not something I have any intention of selling, not at all. But moving on, Trump media announces approximately $2.5 billion Bitcoin Treasury deal. I think I heard that it's up to $3 billion. So company liquid assets to jump over $3 billion. Sarasota, Florida. Trump Media and Technology Group Core DJT, et cetera, operator of the social platform Truth Social, the streaming platform Truth Plus, and the fintech brand TruthFi, announced today that it has entered into a subscription agreement with approximately 50 institutions under which the company agreed to issue and sell approximately $1.5 billion in the company's common stock and $1 billion in principal amount of the 0.00 convertible senior securities, gross proceeds of an aggregate approximately $2.5 billion, blah, blah, blah. And in a private placing offering the offering. Okay, that did not say anything about Bitcoin, but let's move on. Let's read here. The offering is expected to close on or about May 29th, 2025, subject to satisfaction of customary closing conditions. The company intends to use the proceeds for the creation of a Bitcoin treasury. So this is DJT. You could buy that stock symbol DJT. They're going to be acquiring Bitcoin. And as of right now, 2.5, maybe 3 billion, maybe even more in the future. They're playing the micro strategy playbook. That is bullish. And we're seeing lots. We're seeing other institutions doing the same thing that MicroStrategy is doing. Oh boy. Good luck to you if you are fading Bitcoin right now. My goodness. Now, I wouldn't call this bearish news, bearish development. It's not, whatever. This is just a development. It's not bearish development. It's just a development. Axel Adler Jr., after the all-time high, miners have stepped up their sales on exchanges. Inflows have doubled from an average of 25 Bitcoin to 50 Bitcoin per day, while historical peaks reach around 100 Bitcoin. This shows that selling has indeed accelerated, though we are still in a long way from the peak volumes, and the market is comfortably absorbing the extra supply. So you can see, really, bear markets is when the miners sell a lot of Bitcoin. Unfortunately, a lot of it has to do with Bitcoin capitulation, the fact that they are underwater on their Bitcoin mine. That happens pretty much. That's happened historically every bear market. And when they were done capitulating at the end of 2022, that was the bottom. And so right now, it was very little selling of their Bitcoin under 35. Now that it very recently spiked up to 50, that might be a short-term thing. But even 50 Bitcoin a day, the ETFs are buying way more than 50 Bitcoin per day, and 450 Bitcoin are mined per day. And so what do we take from this? It's a thing. I tried finding patterns here. I really couldn't find any significant pattern here that would cause some kind of alarm for the short term. And we can see all the spikes are at bottoms. This is the pattern that really you should be paying attention to. When we see a spike in miner exchange flow, that's usually at a bottom. And we're seeing a spike in miner exchange flow at a peak. Make sense of that what you will. My goodness, that's not how it usually goes. But here we are. This time, that seems to be a communication that this time is different. Moving on from Stack Wisely, we have the Bitcoin Cycle Index. The Bitcoin Cycle Index is at 62 and rising. This is the ideal time to make a plan that allows you to thrive in bull and bear markets. By the time we reach deeply overheated or blow off top, no one will be thinking clearly. Good point. And if we unexpectedly fall from here, you'll be upset you didn't consider the bear case. Do you have to sell any sats? Absolutely not. But having a battle-tested plan of action for the next 5 to 10 years will help you sleep well and ignore the day-to-day volatility. Before you can stick to the plan, you need to make one. Now, what's my takeaway from this tweet? Looking at where we've been in the past, you can see blow off top territory in 2021 in the Bitcoin Cycle Index and 2017 and in 2021. If we were to get into blow off top territory, what would that look like price wise? That would look much higher than where we are right now. And so maybe I would start, then maybe you should start considering unloading some sats. But for me, my plan is to just stack. If we saw something similar to what we saw if it just got into overheated territory like it did in early 2024 and in late 2024, I'm just going to hold on because we may be in this endless cycle from now on with all this institutional buying of just ranging between DCA zone and overheated for the next however long, that might be it forever. So if that's the case, I'm just going to continue to stack my sats. But moving on, more. This is on the Mr. Crypto level of ridiculous bullishness. Okay, Bitcoin cycles, final chart for the day, higher, much higher. Okay, so Julian Battelle is a colleague of Raoul Pal, and they have talked about the banana zone, and we're going to enter the banana zone, and Bitcoin is going to go so much higher. We'll see. So according to this chart, we are very early still. Well, okay, we'll see. We're right now at a point where I would say it's do or die. And if we break to the upside, then Bitcoin will go higher, altcoins will go higher, and we'll see if it enters the banana zone. I mean, what would be the peak of this banana zone? We don't have numbers on here, but this was 20,000. The top of that banana zone was 69,000, something like that. So 100,000, maybe 300,000 is where Julian Battelle and Raoul Pal think it's going to go. I tend to disagree for 2025 at least, and we'll see about after that. But moving on, could I interest you in a little bit of Tron here? And I need to move some tabs around, but Tron. Okay, guys, I've talked a little bit about Tron. Nobody ever asks me questions about Tron. But do you know there were 4 or 5 cryptos that outperformed Bitcoin in the last bear market in terms of they didn't dump as much as Bitcoin did. Only out of all the millions of cryptos, only 4 or 5. Tron was one of those. Bitcoin Cash was another. I don't know the other 2 or 3. So Tron's actually a very safe hold. I mean, it's kind of like a stock because Tron actually makes money and they're able to burn their supply. So I would treat Tron like a stock. I would not expect a 10x on Tron. But like Tron, man, it's so funny. I used to hate on Tron all the time. This is just a solid crypto, one of the few that actually makes money too. So Zhao Wedson says large amounts of USDT are being issued on the Tron network, and interestingly, TRX price remains strong during these issuances. The more stable coins are minted, the more liquidity tends to flow into Bitcoin and altcoins. In other words, is the market setting the stage for a new bullish wave in altcoins? Stay sharp, liquidity never lies, or maybe a bullish move in Tron. You can see Tron stablecoin supply trend, just the blue part here. Let me go back to this previous page. The blue part is the amount of stablecoins on the Tron network, and you can see over the last few years that the amount of stablecoins has grown as people are using that to buy crypto. So, not a lot of people in the Western hemisphere interact in Tron, but a lot of people in Asia certainly do. And this was just a very solid chart, a chart that held up very well over a long period of time. And now it does look like it's forming a cup and handle pattern. This is just a safe play in comparison to a lot of other cryptos. I think from here, Tron has plenty higher to go. So you want some percentage gains, you want some confidence in that, then personally, not financial advice, I'd get some exposure to Tron. Moving on, Ethereum. I talked about this during my live stream, my members only live stream, and I went live on TikTok and opened it up to subscribers on TikTok chat. But ETH testing the daily 300 moving average, 200 moving average for the third time. This chart just looks really bullish, guys. I think I wouldn't be surprised if by the time you watch this, Ethereum broke not only the 200 moving average, but it's also at the level of the 2013 peak. And so I've had that on TradingView drawn out for a while. Let me pull up my chart here and you can see this, but Ethereum at 2703. And man, I really think that this is imminent, that Ethereum is going to break out. I wouldn't be surprised in the next 24 hours from the moment that I'm making this video. I wouldn't be surprised again if it was while you're watching this, because I make my videos the day before and then publish them on the day that you're watching this at 6 a.m. Eastern time. It's not like I'm going to wake up early to make a video, but this is so close, man. And I think once it breaks through this level, that we would see Ethereum get over $3,000 very quickly. And not only that, but if we saw Ethereum get over $3,000 very quickly, then what we're going to see is Bitcoin dominance go down more and hopefully put in a lower low. So, guys, right now, this market looks very promising. Now, I don't want to get too bullish at resistance. We all need to keep ourselves in check here. But here, what's the confirmation of that? This is the confirmation. Ethereum breaks through. We're good to go. ETH Bitcoin chart looks bullish in favor of Ethereum for sure. So all that above, we're looking pretty good. Right at this moment, we're looking good. I wouldn't be surprised at all if it was this week. So Bitcoin at the moment that I'm making this video is 110,000, over 110,000. Bitcoin dominance is hopefully putting in a higher low, hoping to see Bitcoin ride this trend line and then break through this trend line here that dates back to even 2017. Most people have this trend line drawn back to 2021, the double top in 2021. If we break through here, $113,000, there's going to be some good movement in Bitcoin as well, and altcoins I think could really thrive. So your patience as always is rewarded. Will be rewarded at some point, hopefully soon. And so stay tight, hold tight. Don't get too despondent about your altcoins. So what else do we have here? XRP at a key level of support. I'm not going to pull up that chart. Binance looks about ready to break out. Solana is very similar to Ethereum. Dogecoin's at a key level of support. I'm just doing all this from memory. Hyperliquid, man. Somebody asked me about Hyperliquid. I have completely missed the boat on that. I wouldn't even know where to begin to do research into what's so amazing about Hyperliquid. But it is on an absolute tear, up 43% over the last week, and might be going higher than there. So we will see. Fear and greed looks good. Altcoin season index is still low. Maybe we're imminent. Maybe June will be a month to remember. But anyway, that is all I have for today. I hope you have a wonderful day, a wonderful rest of your week. I will most certainly be seeing you in another video. Peace.